if I win, then all the emotions gonna come out, and I'm gonna, it's gonna be something else. But
Go ahead and introduce yourself. Who we hearing from here?
so I'm Vito Arujau. I wrestle at Cornell and trying to be the United States rep for the Olympics at 57 kilos.
When did that Olympic dream start for you?
Started at a very young age. I had very high aspirations, even though I was, not very good at the time. My father was a very, very successful senior level wrestler, winning 2 world championships and taking third at the Olympics. I had a dream for a higher stage. So I think just getting into wrestling and understanding how great he was, I was like, I kind of want to, at least somewhat level up to him. So.
When was the first time you realized he was as good as he was?
I always knew he was good, but I don't think it even really hit me just how good he was until very recently. I'm always, when I was a kid, in high school, I'm like, all right, like, I'm a state champ, like, I'm one of the best in the country for my weight in high school, and, I kind of thought I was sick. I did no idea the levels to this, Now going through college, right, wrestling in college, and then after that, transitioning into the senior level, right, where my dad had success, and now seeing how wide the gap is in some of these categories. In some of these ways, the top guy is levels better than everybody else. And, knowing that my dad was one of those people who was at the top, for a period of time, There's 2 world championships that he won and took third in the Olympics. And he also took third and second at a bunch of other senior level events. He won Euro Games, he won Euregan, so this is someone who's, now clicking in my mind, I went 0-2 at the Euregan. My dad won this like 4 times. Like, this is crazy. Now, wrestling in these events, I'm like, wow, he was really fucking good.
I've heard you say that when your dad was your age, he'd won a world title and had a kid.
Yeah. No, my dad had my older brother when he was 20, and that's my older brother Nick. But yeah, and he also had won a world title by then. So, I mean, his career wasn't nearly as long as I think my career is going to be, but it didn't have to be because he had already been successful. Yeah. So, I'm very proud to have a father like that, and realizing now all the things that he taught me when I was younger is now relevant again. I'm just like, wow, like, it's all coming full circle to me.
How did your parents immigrate to the U.S.? What's that story?
So my dad was a wrestler, and my mom, they met in basically like sports school. You went there. It's like boarding school. You go there to get an education, but also to train in athletics. Mm-hmm. So he went there for wrestling, and my mom was there for solos kayaking. So both my parents were athletes, but ended up my mom got pregnant, and my dad's job paid more as a wrestler than my mom's, so she decided to take care of the kid, Mm-hmm. And then a couple of years, maybe 5 years, then my mom actually won in a lottery a visa to the U.S., out of a random lottery. So then she went over and was like, all right, like, yeah, like we're moving to the U.S. And my dad wasn't opposed. There were ups and downs to living in Russia, and the idea of America to foreign people is much different than what people in America think what it is.
How do you mean?
The idea of, like, there's equal opportunity and just like a better life waiting for you here is very realistic to a lot of foreigners. And what I think some people in the United States take for granted. You know, the option to pursue whatever you want. You know, the lack of you know, things that are holding you down into where you are, I guess. You know, it's just, I don't think my parents regret their decision at all to move to the U.S. because coming in, you know, my parents came over and they had a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. You know, I had just been born, so they moved over to the U.S. and my dad came over with, you know, he says like one bag of clothes and $200. So he had, you know, he came from rising up in Russia to becoming like, you know, basically a celebrity there, to now dropping back down to just nothing, coming over here. You know, he had nothing but, you know, his skills. So he then, you know, used what he had and rose back up, and now, you know, to this day, now he's, you know, a head coach for a college. He's got one son that graduated from an Ivy League school, another one that's currently going there, you know, and he has another son who can go wherever he wants. You know, he has his own business. My mom has her own business, and you know, it's kind of just crazy to see how his story played out. You know, the ups and downs, and just the constant need for bettering like his life and his kid's life, and you know, I'm just very appreciative that you know, he struggled for our sake, I guess. You know.
It's interesting how you said it, the people who live in America, it's different than if you live outside of it. Because I feel like if you live here now, especially now, people are like, this place sucks, or it's like, it's so crazy here. But really, when you put it in perspective of your family coming over with nothing, probably couldn't speak a lot of English when they came over.
Oh, didn't know English. He had to, you know, it's funny because my dad's English is still pretty broken, but he learned enough English to communicate within the first 2 years. And I was just like, all right, this is good enough. And then he, you know, still talks like he just came here, but it's hilarious, and you know, everyone appreciates it, and you know, it's just pretty funny.
So one of the things I always like to ask people whose dads were really good, what was the balance between father/coach when you were growing up?
You know, when I was little, you know, I mean, well, he was dad at home, you know, and then we went to practice and he was coach. And I never really questioned the dynamic because that's all I ever knew, you know. He would get me to do things at home, obviously, as well. And, you know, it was just kind of like not even like father and coach. He was just one person, I guess. And he did both, you know. I just assumed, like, I never really saw it as like, you know, like, all right, you're my coach now, but now you're my dad at home. Like, no, like he's dad. Even when at practice, he's still dad, but he's also, you know, Olympian. So he can tell me what to do at practice, you know.
Knowing your family had all those sacrifices to come over here, what would it mean to you to represent the United States in the Olympics?
Oh, I mean, it would mean everything. Just to know that, you know, not necessarily that my father needed to sacrifice all this for us, but the fact that he did, and he gave me the possibility, you know, to go after this, because, you know, like, I'm 21, you know, I should be, you know, if I didn't wrestle, you know, I'd be graduating this year, going to get a job somewhere, right? But I'm extending the period of time where I don't have a job, you know, I'm just training. I need someone to be able to support me to do this, you know, and whether that's me running the occasional clinic or helping out in my dad's gym, I mean, and, but I need that support, you know, and the fact that he was able to build that for me and give me the opportunity to, like, you know, be able to go after my dreams, you know, I'm very appreciative.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if I went to the Olympics, you know, I know my dad would be like, his dreams came true as well.
And for folks who don't know, the Olympic trials are this weekend. Talk us through the process of how one becomes an Olympian. How does that work?
Well, I'm gonna head over this Tuesday to Texas, and then we're gonna gear up. You know, I gotta make sure that I'm ready to go. I'm gonna get down to weigh in on Friday, and then we're gonna wrestle. You know, we're gonna bring the whoever qualified. I don't necessarily whether it's maybe 11 guys at the weight, and we're gonna go and wrestle and see who wins. And that guy, whoever makes it to the finals, is gonna wrestle the best 2 out of 3 series. And then the winner of that he's our rep, you know. So then that guy will automatically be an Olympian.
So the stakes couldn't be higher for the trials then. It's one of those tournaments that comes around every 4 or 5 years where it's, you know, win you go home, lose you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the guy who takes second will be the first alternative in case the winner gets hurt. But besides that, yeah, like, you win, you take everything, you know. And for a lot of people, like, you know, this is like kind of their last chance, you know. Maybe people who are a little further in their cycles, like cycles as in like their career, you know, their wrestling has like an age where you're kind of no longer like able to compete, I guess, or as soon as your body starts falling apart, you know, maybe it's like time to stop wrestling, because it's very body intensive. You know, you're gonna get hurt, you know, your body's gonna break down at some point. So for a lot of people, this is kind of like their last, you know, am I gonna, you know, realize my dreams, or am I gonna go home? Being a little younger than most of the field, you know, this isn't my last chance. I'm gonna go to another Olympics after this, and then, you know, I don't know, one more after that. I don't know, you know, pushing it because I'll be like 28 or something. But you know, like, this is kind of the pinnacle of everyone who's wrestling here. This is like the peak, you know, because if you win, then, you know, there's another peak. You go to the Olympics. But for a lot of people, this is kind of like, you know, this is where I need to wrestle well, and this is where it really matters. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. When you think about the 3 more questions for you. One, from an obstacle standpoint, the obstacles to make the Olympic team are many. There's the wrestlers, there's COVID, which kind of sucked, and then there's the weight. What's your weight right now? How's the weight management process for you?
You know, after my first year in college, when I had to go 25, I've never really had a problem with my weight after that. I think I have it down pretty well to a science, where I kind of stay over, like, I usually just, like, never get bigger than around 10 over. So, like, you know, I'll be like 135. Currently I'm trying to, like, ease my way down, you know, so get into that 7 over range, 6, 8, whatever. And then we'll go there, and, you know, I like to just hit it hard, and lose like 5 pounds of practice, and then put in 2 or 3. But, you know, I don't think I'll have an issue with my weight. That's probably the least of my concern. When facing against, like, such high level opponents, you know, I can't really focus too much on, like, struggling with my weight, you know. I can't fight myself and everybody else, so.
It's crazy because you look at some of the guys, like, you look at Fix, he looked so big last week, and I'm thinking, how is he going to make 25? And, like, how do you not let that consume your thought process leading up? But someone like you, sounds like you have it to a fairly manageable place.
Yeah.
So will you bring it all off on Thursday then? Or will you do it, like, Wednesday and Thursday?
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, Monday, Tuesday, you know, I'm going to start, you know, really getting into it. But yeah, the way I like to do it, I like to start like 10 over, and then I'll lose 5, so I'm 5 over. Put in 2, you know, drift 1 over overnight, and then come back again the next day. I'll be like 8 over, and I'll lose 5 again. Put in another 3, and, you know, I'm working hard. I'm feeling good. I'm recovering from the workout, but I'm also having a solid workout in. And then I just kind of yo-yo all my way down there.
Wrestler math, man. The 5 down, the 3 up. I love it. When you think about, you know, there's the physical preparation. How do you kind of organize your training camp leading up to something like this?
I don't put any thought into it. I trust that my coaches know what they're doing and what would work best for me.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely very happy with my decision to go to Cornell, because, you know, I have people like Mike Gray, who's able to supervise me, basically. You know, they tell me, I don't have to do anything. You know, he texts me in the morning. He's like, hey, you're coming to practice at this. This is who you're going with. I'm like, fantastic. I'll be there. And then I show up and I wrestle, and he tells me what areas I need to work on. You know, I trust that he knows what I need, as well as, you know, he has my best interest in mind.
That's so nice, because you think back to some of the Olympians that we heard about, like a John Smith or like some of the guys in the 80s. It was like they were on their own, no support, not a lot of teammates, no coaches, and it's kind of lonely. Like, you have this incredible group of guys in the system, so you don't have to worry about it at all.
You know, it's like you said, it'd be very different if it was just me, you know, in a room trying to realize my one dream that no one else thinks I can do, basically, versus me. I'm in a room where I have Yanni, I have Gabe, I have Kyle, I have Mike. You know, we have this squad who's just like all going after this one thing, and we all will, you know, keep track of each other and make sure we're all sticking to the path that we need to. Because, you know, Kyle's world champ, like, he knows what he's doing. You know, Mike has an amazing mind for, you know, not even necessarily wrestling, but just like teaching us how to work hard and how to stay on like the path, you know, because you know, we know how to wrestle. You know, it's not like we're gonna learn any crazy technique this close in, you know, but the fact that Mike can keep us just working hard every day and doing the right things, you know, he'll tell us like we need to keep track of our weight, you know, so we don't have to fight ourselves, you know, not getting hurt during practice, you know, these are important things that he will remind us, because, you know, sometimes you forget.
It's great, man. It speaks volumes to the success you guys have had here. Last question from my end is, when you think about the Olympic trials, like, what emotions does that bring to you? What emotions does it evoke?
You know, I'm trying not to let it, you know, like, kind of be too change. Like, I'm trying not to let it change me too much right now. You know, I'm trying to just stick to what I do. You know, I don't want to get too excited or too nervous or anything. So I wake up, I have my coffee, I go to practice. You know, it's just work as usual. But you know, I think when I'm there, you know, if I win, you know, then all the emotion is gonna come out, and I'm gonna, you know, it's gonna be something else. But you know, for right now, we're, you know, no, this isn't any different than, you know, any other tournament that we've wrestled in. You know, you have to stick to what I know, and, you know, just get ready for it the way I know how.
Perfect.
That's about it. Yeah.
That's a good way to wind it down. Do you visualize a lot of the matches?
Sometimes, you know, when I'm at practice, I'll think about the positions in my head, and I'll work through it. Kind of like, I don't know, some people have caught me like doing the hand thing where I'm moving my hands, and that's just me kind of going through the position, kind of a hand fight to a leg attack, leg goes back, go to the other side. You know, I'm just kind of like working through these positions in my head sometimes. But you know, you
try to keep it in practice, and I love how loose you are out of it, man. It makes it shows why you wrestle so free. It's cool to see, and I'm a big fan. I can't wait to watch you throughout the week, and certainly Friday and Saturday, man.
Thank you.
Thanks
I appreciate it.
Thanks for letting us come over.